Okay, time flew by really quickly here. I wanted to do this tutorial on Friday, but things got kind of out of hand and I was doing a lot of other things instead of a tutorial here. So, for this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to do the separation of player collision and player view that you saw in Portal 2's intro for the entire sequence with Wheatley and crashing through stuff. Alright? So, key entity, the view proxy. As if you look on the VDC, or the wiki, for the Valve developer community, there's a little note on there saying this is what they used, and not much else about how they used it. So that's what I'm going to do here. So first off, I have this standard empty room. The players start right here. What I want to do is create a smaller room. Just because. 64 by 64, and let's make this 128 units tall. And oh no, make hollow. And -8, that's fine. Now what I want to do here is actually move the player out of the way. I'm going to have a little train set up going around the center, and I don't want the player to block it and cause errors to spew in the console. So I'm going to move the player out of the way and just out of the playable area just to be certain that he's out of there. Okay. I am using Afterburner to record this, so I'm not using that Screencast-o-Matic software, which means that you don't get all the fancy blips when I'm clicking. On the plus side, it's smoother. On the downside, I don't have arrow enabled anymore. But it's a compromise I'm willing to take. And there's also the nagging issue of, well, it's about 1 gigabyte per minute of video. Which is okay. I have about 300 gigabytes of space, so if I wind up with 300 minutes of video, there's something wrong with the tutorial. Or with me making the tutorial. That's actually cool. Yeah, let's leave them on the bottom there. So this is going to be where we're going to be teleporting the player to. Info teleport destination. I'm going to give it a name, just the box. There. And for later, I'm going to put a little light in here. That way if we see this light, we know we definitely aren't in the right room. And just give it a random color, something visible. Okay, and I'll go over here, and to the center of the room I am going to put a light as well, which conveniently lies at the origin of the entire map. Don't need to change the color on that, it's fine. Okay, so the view proxy. This little beauty right here is what's going to be driving everything. Well, yeah, the view. Pretty much everything. So I'm going to call it, view proxy. Have it maintain an offset, or keep offset. Don't worry about proxy entity or attachment points right now. Go ahead and use a fake acceleration and bringing values straight from Valve's intro map. 1.2 for the acceleration scalar. I have no idea what that does, despite the description here that says multiply the fake acceleration by this amount. I couldn't tell you. And for tilt fraction, again ripping it from Valve's map, 0. Now, this is not going to be in here. I'm actually going to put it into the little box we made, or moving the player out. Okay, and now I'm going to drag it down to the player's eye level, so now we have a camera shoved in this guy's head. Yeah, don't mind that. Now we're going to create an info target, which is where the view proxy is going to point at. So, or put the view at, I should say. Because that's where we're going to be looking from, and it's what's going to be moving around the map. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and move it up a bit. That's good. And I'll give it a name, view target. Now, go ahead and reopen the properties of your view proxy. And where it says proxy entity, go ahead and click on the eyedropper and click on the info target you made. You can also type the name in. I just kind of prefer the eyedropper because it's easier. Well, if you have a lot of entities, it's easier. If you don't have a lot of entities, it's pretty simple. You just find the one of 3 names that you have there, and you're bound to find the right one. Okay. Now, I'm gonna have this. I'm gonna set up that train. So first thing I'm gonna need is a train. So let's see here. Let's do a no draw texture. Select the target, and then go with a grid size a couple times. There we are, and make sure the player doesn't run into it. I'm going to move it up in the map. That's good. Train. Okay, let's see here. I believe Func Train is what I'm looking for. Nope, Func Truck Train. Okay. I may have an extra train entity that you guys don't have, only because Valve removed it in the Portal 2 map editor, the perpetual testing initiative. They removed it from the FGDs, and I only noticed it because I did a diff between mine and Valve's new ones, and they undid a lot of changes I made, and that just happened to pop up as a missing entity. So I went ahead and shoved it back in. So if you don't have it, don't worry about it. It's not crucial. Well, depending what you want to do. Anyways, Func Track Train, let's call this, well, Train. Yeah. And in case you don't know what it is, follow those path track entities. This is very important, because path corner probably won't work. And let's see here. Distance above track, height above track, that's what I call that. I'm going to make that 0. Now, we're going to create path tracks. So I'll go ahead and type path in here, and there you go, path track. I'm just going to click right on the train, that way we get it roughly at the same level as the train. And drag it over a bit. Let's increase the grid size. Okay. Now go ahead and open up the properties of the path track you just made and give it a name. Now I'm going to be very specific with the name. I'm going to end it with a number. So I'm going to call it track _1. Now what I'm going to do is get the selection tool up, this guy right here, and shift and left click drag to the next point. You see that now it's created a second entity, another path track named track 2. This line right here indicates that track 1 is now pointing to the next up target, track 2. So you could just take this and just drag it all the way around if you wanted to. Create a really weird track. I think I'm going to leave that in. Why not? And to make sure this loops around, I'm going to add a stop target to the end, to the start from the end. And there you have it. Now, I actually want to have this one right here in the center relative to the train. And the first stop target of the train is going to be that one up in the center. See the eyedropper will work here? Yes! So it does. Okay. Now open up the view target you made and set its parent to the train. And go ahead and save here, and that open. No, actually, that open. There we go. when the train comes back around to here, I want it to stop. So, on pass, when the train passes this particular track, I'm going to tell it, stop. And then, I'm going to copy and paste that input-output. I'm also going to tell this view proxy to teleport the player to the proxy. Yeah. And then I'm going to tell it to disable itself. Now that should take the player out of this box, put it back into the map, and then disable the proxy. That way it's more or less seamless. There's going to be a little jump going around, so I'm still trying to figure that out. And to get this all started, we're going to create a little trigger. So I'll go ahead and click back on the train. And I'm just going to shift drag it down, and lower the grid size. And all the way down, so now we have a copy of the train. And now I'm going to replace this with a teleport trigger. And also get rid of its name. Doesn't need it. And what destination? Interesting, that key value passed over. Didn't know that. I'm going to make that the box destination that we created at the beginning of this tutorial. Oh, another thing, I don't have a 15-minute time limit. I only have a time limit of how much space I have on the hard drive. So, no more merging files. Or these video files. Now I'll go ahead and open up the texture browser and let's look for trigger. Or GR, as I typed in, because it's a unique string to trigger. Open up the face edit sheet, this icon that just disappeared down here, or right there. And shift right click, and that will apply the texture to all surfaces. Okay, so now for this teleport, on start touch, view proxy enable. It's going to instantly teleport the player over anyway. Check the flags, client's checked off, good. Okay. And paste, copy and paste that IO. Set an input to the train to start moving. Start forward, I believe, is what we want. You gotta start backward if you want to do as well. Okay. Now in my rehearsals, there's something another I/O around here that I just can't quite put my finger on. Oh right, I had it kill itself. Okay, yeah, you don't need to do that. Well, I suppose I could. So there's a special target you can use. Exclamation mark self. That means this entity. It doesn't have a name, but you can tell itself to kill itself. Yeah. I just don't want the player to constantly get in a loop here. You could have another trigger that detects that the player leaves the area, then re-enables a trigger teleport. I'm not going to go into that because it's rather trivial. Okay, so now that's all set. Let's see what happens. Let's go ahead and do normal compiles and see how this handles having a DirectX application start in the middle of a video recording. And again, Hammer started, so I guess that's fine. Okay, Portal 2. Any minute now. Ooh, primary hard drive, not happy. It should be paging, actually. I don't know why it's doing that. This is concerning, but not for you guys, for me. Alright, Portal 2 is not responding. Wait for it. Come on. Ooh, I wonder if it's thrashing. Yeah. I did some modifications to how page files are spread across my hard drive, so things are a little wonky. Actually, it'd be better if I had a British accent. Anyways, Portal 2 is almost up. There we go. Now, the trigger is just ahead of us, but I'm gonna show triggers anyway. So there's the big trigger we made, and I'm gonna walk into it. And as you can see, I am, well, moving around, parented to it, and I cannot go outside the boundaries of the box we made. And now that it's released, I'm back into this normal motion. Okay, so hop back over to Hammer, and I wasn't able to move very far away from the center, so what I'm going to do is make this box bigger. Actually, I'll scale it. So the get transformation up, you Control M on your keyboard, and it'll bring this up. So I'm going to scale it on the X and the Y, but not to 1.1. So no, sorry, I should do 1.5. There's a leading 0. Don't worry about it. It still parses the same. And now select this, pull it out. Oh, note, if you do 1.5 like I did, you're gonna probably fall off grid. Not recommended. So there we go. So now I should have more room to go because all the player collision is going to happen inside this box. I didn't make that apparent at the beginning. I just wanted to get the initial setup done and now explain to you what we did. So this view proxy is going to take all the player collision. Everything is going to be moving about in this box right here, but the view is going to our proxy entity all the way over here. And if you followed my playable turret, controllable turret tutorial, we did this before. It just, you couldn't move because, well, turrets don't walk around yet. This time I'm letting you move, so the view is going to go to this info target while the collision is going to be in that box we put the player in. Okay? Now up here, because I can't make this train not solid, I moved it up out of the way so the player has no chance of blocking it. Otherwise, when they come up, they could get stuck on it and you wouldn't be able to do anything. So, let's do another quick compile. And actually, I'm going to get an error saying the game is unavailable. I don't know why, but using hijack is broken. The hijack tag is broken, so I can't just commandeer this instance of Portal 2 anymore. I don't know what broke it, and yeah. So, my view control tutorial, let's just reload the map manually. Okay, and again I'm going to show triggers, and walk through it. Now I can move around even more without having any weird physics going on. And now I'm back. A little hard to show in the video, but it should be more apparent when you do it yourself that the player is actually bound to the box that we shoved them in. So, I hope that was useful, and if you have any problems, any questions, go ahead, post a comment, send me a PM, I'll get to you when I can. Alright, and let's see here, slide to unlock. Thank you!